Yes.
I have a mentoring relationship with one of the two failing elementary schools in Pittsfield, and look at these kids, and you know, just can't help but be concerned for their futures
Yeah.
and being a statistic of wasted lives.
Yeah. So, in my view, so this is an issue that I spent a lot of time as a candidate learning more about, reading about, and talking to people who are very smart and work in this world. And this is another area where I've made a number of policy proposals, which you can read much more in depth on my website. I'm the only candidate that has put something out on this. And this is another reason why Senator Jamie Eldridge endorsed me last week, because of my stand on criminal justice issues. Fundamentally, I think we need to be investing much more in the underlying causes, addressing the underlying causes of crime, than in putting people in jail. Our incarceration rate in Massachusetts alone has gone up by about 250% since 1980. We are, compared to any other country, our incarceration rate is much higher than any other country, I think, except for two. And we are not getting positive outcomes from this approach. So, I think we need to be investing much more in diversionary programs, in treatment for mental illness and addiction, which is often a cause of crime. We need to stop treating people who are addicted as criminals, which is what's happening in a number of cases. Even though they're not charged with a crime, people who are committed under a civil commitment under Section 35, known as Section 35 commitments, who are addicted, are going to facilities that are essentially being run as correctional facilities instead of getting the treatment they need. We need to be investing much more in programming for people who are in jail, so that they're successful when they get out and don't get back in. We need to be making the connections for people when they re-enter society. And I think we need to eliminate all mandatory minimum sentences, except for murder is the one that I have said I would support keeping, and let judges do their jobs, which is to assess the individual circumstances and unique circumstances of every individual case, every individual crime, the circumstances of that person, and I also think we need to eliminate cash bail and reform our system of fee and fines, because we're jailing way too many people just because they're poor. Pre-trial detentions have gone way up in Massachusetts before anyone's even convicted, because they can't afford to pay the bail to be out. It's often not. We should be moving to a more of a risk assessment approach to whether or not people should be permitted to stay in the community while they're awaiting trial. So there are a number of proposals that you can find on my website at a high level. That's my mindset on it. I think the legislature is in the process of taking a good step in the right direction. I think we should be going further in some areas. But this is an issue that I've come to feel very strongly about, and you can learn more about on my website.
I'll jump in. I want to ask you, we're kind enough to include transgender people in your statement. As you know, there's an initiative on the 18th ballot to roll back transgender equality here in Massachusetts. What's your stand on that?
We should not roll it back. We need to protect the rights of our fellow transgender citizens. This is an issue, this is an example, I referenced it in my remarks. We have a governor right now who signed the legislation into law, and I think has even said he opposes the ballot question to repeal it. So there are a number of people who say, thank God that we have a governor who isn't like crazy extremist Republicans in other parts of the country who are opposed to this type of legislation. But he was not a leader on this issue. He originally opposed it when he ran for governor in 2010. He got dragged over the finish line on that legislation, not taking a position, not providing any leadership on it, only signing it when he was forced to do so, and as I mentioned, doing it behind closed doors, no bill signing ceremony. It is not okay. It's not okay. He is our governor. People need to know their governor is there for them. And it is not great that he signed the legislation into law. It's better than the alternative. But we deserve better than that. And if I'm elected governor, you can count on me to stand up for every single person. It's one of the, I love Governor Patrick. I felt great about working for him. One of the things that I think everybody in this state, regardless of whether they agree with Governor Patrick on everything or not, would agree to, is that he stood up for every single person in this state. And he cared deeply about every single person in the state. And people need to feel that from their governor and their government. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. I wanted to follow up some more about single-payer health care, which totally support. And I wondered what your ideas were about dealing with insurance companies in this state in terms of moving towards single-payer health care. What are your ideas about that?
That we wouldn't have health insurance companies. I mean, here's the thing. So, part of the value of moving to a single-payer system, there are a number of different benefits to it. But one of the key values, of course, if you fundamentally believe that access to healthcare is a human right and every single person should have access to the healthcare services they need to be as healthy as they can be.
Yes.
The system we have today does not do that. Because different people, depending on income level, have different health insurance coverage, which gives them different levels of access to the care they need. Through a single-payer system, there's much more ability to control people's access and right to access the healthcare services they need. And from my perspective, one of the key benefits of moving to a single-payer system is you eliminate all this waste and inefficiency that adds no value to the system of a multi-payer system. So let me give you an example. Like I said, I was very proud of some of what we did at my health insurance company. Much of what we did was facilitate valueless transaction. We had a whole team of people who would go out to every doctor and hospital and negotiate a contract with them. We negotiate different payment rates than every other health insurance plan, different quality incentives that we would expect the doctors and hospitals to achieve. And we'd have a whole team of people that would then take those contracts and input them into our systems to make sure we paid all the doctors and hospitals the right amounts, and we would inevitably screw some of that up. So we had a whole team of people who would work to fix all the screw-ups, and every health insurance plan has the same thing. And every hospital and doctor has teams of people, 240 people at Mass General, however many it is, to deal with all the health insurance companies. And it's all counterproductive because all of the payers are driving providers, incentivizing providers to do different things, as opposed to driving them the same direction in a coordinated way to improve the quality of care. So it's counterproductive, it's a ton of waste. Put aside all the marketing and other administrative costs to win in a competitive market, a market that's based on the premise that it actually is a functioning market and has none of the attributes of a functioning market. I mean, it's silly. So I see a world where we don't have multiple health insurance companies anymore. We have one government-sponsored payer that is covering everybody, that is not complicated. People don't have to worry about or wonder about, wait, is somebody in my network or not, or what's my copay or deductible, or, you know, it is simple for people to navigate. They don't need to worry when they change jobs. They're covered. Everybody is covered. It's a right in this state, and we actually do it in a way that cuts a lot of unnecessary cost out of the system and should reduce the total amount we spend and enable us to invest more in some of the areas where we aren't providing the quality of care we need. And I know I said it before, and Seti Warren and Bob Massey, who I understand you met with, I appreciate the fact that they both support going to a single-payer system also, and I like them both a lot. I've been spending a lot of good quality time with them, and there are a lot of similarities in what we want to do as governor. But there are some differences, and one difference that I really ask you to consider is this one I mentioned, that I'm the only candidate that actually has experience in the healthcare industry. I know the healthcare industry, and this is not going to be easy. This isn't a 5-minute thing. And I think I'm best positioned to provide the leadership to actually get it done.
What's your lead time?
how far out are you extending the completion of that?
I think what I would do immediately is put together a group that represents lots of different interests in the healthcare industry, users of the system, patients, others, to begin working immediately on how we move to a single-payer system that achieves the outcomes we need. It would take months for that process to be completed. I mean, this is a big task and a big undertaking, and we need all the thoughtful people who know the industry and who know the potential pitfalls of moving to a single-payer system that we want to avoid, and to figure out how we get from here to there. And then, of course, there would need to be legislation. Ideally, we'd have federal government support and cooperation. Maybe there'll be a new president in 2020 who could help us do that. Ideally, we have federal support because they're a participant in the Medicaid program and they fully run the Medicare program. And the more aligned those programs can be with a single-payer system in Massachusetts, the better. So this isn't weeks. This is months, maybe even a couple of years. Probably a couple of years to get to really transitioning our system to the place it needs to be. And I wouldn't be hasty. I'd have a sense of urgency and would work as fast as we can, but I wouldn't be hasty at the expense of not doing it right.
Sandra, last question?
Hello, I'm Sandra,
Hi, Sandra.
and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on divesting from fossil fuels and investing in renewable energy and the net metering and all that issues around that.
So climate change is the biggest threat to our planet. It is one example among many where our governor is not providing the leadership we need. I believe we need to accelerate our transition to renewable energy sources, which he is slow walking. I think we need to stop the expansion of all natural gas pipeline infrastructure in this state, which just furthers our dependence on fossil fuels. I think we should be the first state in the nation. If we can't get other states in our region to join us in this, we should be the first state in the nation to adopt carbon pricing in a thoughtful way to provide another incentive and driver that all the economists agree will help accelerate our transition to a true clean energy economy. And the other thing that sometimes doesn't get talked about, while this is a challenge that we need leadership to address, and we have lots of opportunity to address it beyond how it's currently being addressed, it's also a huge opportunity for us, particularly here in Massachusetts. We could create thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs all across this state if we're intentional about taking advantage of the opportunity. This is probably the or among the fastest growing industries in the world in the next couple of decades, the clean energy sector. And we are positioned in Massachusetts with the assets we have, the academic institutions, all the financial and VC capital funding that exists, a lot of the assets we have across the state where we could be a world leader in this. We could be the power plug for the world's clean energy economy. Governor Patrick used to say, we could make the world our customer. You could hear him saying it. And he's right. And under his administration, we actually made meaningful steps to make progress in this area. We made long-term investments, like an investment in New Bedford, to create a pier. This was a project I authorized, about $100 million. A pier that was strong enough to hold wind turbines that would be sent out to the Sahara Desert of offshore wind, which is off the shore of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, federally permitted, where we have a huge opportunity to generate a lot of renewable energy and reduce our fossil fuel emissions, and also create a lot of jobs here constructing those windmills and otherwise facilitating the construction of the offshore wind. And that pier, many people criticized at the time because there was no project that was fully in place. And now it is the place that a lot of this offshore wind that's going to be developed off of New England is going to come right through there and create jobs there. And that was because Governor Patrick approved a thoughtful, long-term investment in our growth. It's the type of thing we need to do to be intentional, like we have in the life sciences sector in Massachusetts, where we are the world's leader in life sciences because we were intentional about it and made a conscious effort to build on the strengths we have to make us a leader.
I have to do a little product placement. Our next Indivisible Pittsfield meeting will be Monday, January 8th, right here at 5:30, where the holidays are going to dislocate our regular scheduling, but next one's January 8th. We've got a big event coming up January 20th at the Colonial Theater. We're going to have a community forum on where do we go from here in the Berkshires. We're going to have a great resource fair. We do need some volunteers to help with ushering and coaching kind of things. So check your Indivisible Pittsfield emails about that kind of stuff. A reminder, if the Mueller investigation is shut down, we expect to take you to the streets within 24 hours, and you will be notified about that kind of thing. So those are my announcements. I want to thank again Alex and the Berkshire Athenaeum for providing the facility. Thank you to Paul Derwin for setting up this meeting with Jay Gonzalez and for planning it. And please join me in thanking Jay for a really thrilling presentation on these games. Thank you all for being here. Drive safely, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Bruce.